and this is going to be the best episode ever. We got more drama, spicy drama in esports all across the board, and it involves sponsors. Who would have thought? So we're going to talk about the latest drama and fiasco and hot opinions going around the scenes with that. Also, a legend in Counter-Strike, Captain America himself, Nitr0, steps down from Team Liquid. Does he step down from the game? We answer that here on the Center Ring. And of course, a packed e-news to get to at the end of the show. But before we get to any of that, let me tell you about the show sponsor, Alt. You know them as the #1 apparel company in esports. I know them as lovely people. And when you combine them together, you really just get the best of both worlds. Go over onto altesports.com and you can pick yourself up this Fly Alt t-shirt that I'm wearing right now on stream if you're watching us on Twitch. Also a lovely dad hat, because I am a dad nonetheless, and they support that. They also have, though, don't worry, if you're not overweight white guy father, they also have clothes to make you look good. They have the sweet E-United summer apparel line. They just dropped the LA Gladiators lineup. They have our very own 101 Burglars hoodie, which, Anuj, I was cleaning out my closet the other day. I know you have yours always hanging in the background in your office, which looks beautiful. I saw a picture of me the other day wearing my hoodie back when it was cooler out.
A lot cooler.
Damn, did I look good. I was like, that hoodie really does fit me well, which is saying a lot, because for those who have seen my body type in person, not a lot fits me well, but Alt does. Alt makes me look good. It makes me look sexy. And you know what? My wife, I don't know if she appreciates it, but I'm sure someone does. Someone does. Doesn't have to be my wife. I'll, whatever. Anything to pump these tires, baby. Anyways, go over to altesports.com, pick yourself up a new look, and tell them TCR sent you.
Hey, this is Lige, and you're listening to TCR.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to another edition of the Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast. This is episode 258, coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date, July 29th, 2020. The time, 8:46 p.m. Central Time. Go check us out on Twitter at The Center Ring. If you're not doing so already, you're wrong, and you should follow us. Our website, tcr.gg, has all the links that you need to know, including our YouTube and Discord. Join in on the conversation. Subscribe to YouTube. We do have a fun fact. We put all of our full interviews on YouTube, and we typically put them on there before the show, just with how things fall. So there is a point to follow. Plus, you see our beautiful faces, which, that might actually be a bad thing. So yeah, either way, be a good dude and subscribe on YouTube. My name is Tim. I'll be your captain for this journey into esports, and alongside me, as always, my best friend, my brown friend, it's Anuj. What's up?
Looks like unemployment hit the CS world, Tim. Tough news, man. I'm excited to talk about it, but
not as tough as us not having a liner from Nitr0.
You interview the guy, do everything right,
and
forget to get
looking through the folder for liners. I'm like, I know we talked to Nitr0. I know we did. Why don't we have a liner? And sure enough, I went back and listened to the interview. We just straight up didn't get one. Now that was
even
back.
More sad when you see all of the teammates that we interviewed around him and don't see his name on there.
Now we did talk to him though. You actually, speaking of YouTube, you want to check out our old interview with Nitr0? YouTube.com/The Center Ring. Check out our interview. It had to have been at either DreamHack or ESL Dallas. I think ESL Dallas 1 year. And check it out. That's young Nitr0 before IGL Nitr0, or might have been right around when he started, but back in 2017. So Go check that out on YouTube without a liner because we, for whatever reason, didn't ask him. We ask everyone, didn't ask him. So Nitro, if you're listening, I'm sorry. It was nothing personal. And now we might not ever get the chance. We might not ever get the chance because the world of Counter-Strike has lost another legend, Anuj. And whether that's just a goofy timing with the player break and online play, it sucks to see him go out like this. If this is the end, maybe it's just him not on Liquid anymore.
Yeah, I mean, he's been with the team for 5 years now, since like 2015, which is so unusual in Counter-Strike. Very few players, build up that type of tenure with the team.
And within that tenure, had some rocky times. Like he has been rumored on the chopping block. Oh, not recently, right? Like I think this was kind of a shock for a lot of people. Not the fact that Liquid was making moves, but the fact that it was Nitro stepping down, not them removing him, not a roster. It was him deciding to go. Just because when you think of Team Liquid at this point, you think of Nitro. When you think of NA Counter-Strike, you think of Nitro. His nickname's Captain America. But he's been on the chopping block a number of times before this. So to survive all of that and then still come out with success and be on the team for that long, I mean, it's surprising.
Yeah, those early days, there was definitely like several times where we probably even brought it up on the show, honestly, that we thought Nitro would be the one replaced. And, looking at his career up until now, he turned out to be one of the most versatile players we've kind of ever seen play the game, right? Like going from, I think, starting off as an entry fragger, moving into an opping role, then an IGL role, kind of touched on, he was the ultimate team player, right, is what you got with him. Like where you needed to fill a gap, he was generally the one to step up and do that. I think the timing's really unusual. First of all, I don't think it's officially been reported that. I think I've seen it both ways. It's reported that he was stepped down. I've also seen reports that he was replaced on the roster. They were like replacing him on the roster, so he stepped down. So we'll wait to see which one it exactly was.
And if it matters, right?
Yeah, I'm a little nervous, and we'll get into this in a moment, but about who they're swapping him with. But I also sit there and look at it and I'm like, man, the timing seems a little weird, right? We're in the middle of non-LAN events. Liquid had by far their best year in 2019, winning the Intel Grand Slam. Like there was a point in time where everyone considered them the best team in the world, and it was a pretty easy decision. That wasn't that long ago, right?
Yeah.
2020 comes up. A little bit of a rough start. They don't look the same. We talk about it here several times that something seems a little off. Couldn't really pinpoint it because it's like they still have the same talent. And then Corona hit, and they haven't looked great in the few times that we've kind of seen them. I think except for maybe CS Summit, they did okay, like third or something there.
Yeah, I just think it's the perfect storm, and I think they're not the only victims from Corona, right? I don't think they're the only victims when it comes to this where it's online CS is not fun for these pros, right? Like they want to be on LAN. They want to have that pure experience. And so if you're already having a rocky time, like this was not helping it at all. Like this would only, I think, intensify the fact that you're having issues. And I mean, what a worse time to do it where maybe not all these teams are getting together. Not all these teams have a team house to play with. I'm sure Liquid, these guys they've been established long enough. They have their own places. So maybe they're practicing all online in their own apartments. Well, at that point, you have different type of work ethics. Some guys are working harder than others. Maybe that's rubbing some people the wrong way. Like, who knows to say what's going on behind closed doors. But I think the pandemic was the perfect storm for this to happen. The fact that it's happening towards the end of the player break, I don't think is a coincidence. I think this was probably tossed around for a while when it came to the player break. And hey, if we're going to make a move, you got to make it now, right? You don't want to make it after the player break, after Cologne, because then at that point, your time is limited when it comes to major qualifiers and things like that. You have to start earning these points with your main roster. So I don't think that's a surprise that it's coming now towards the end of the player break.
Do you think they should have made a change?
Honestly, with all the stuff that we've been talking about and saying that they've looked rough and, something's happening behind closed doors, I won't lie to you, Nooch. No, I don't think they should have made a change. I think this was one of those rosters that has proven, like you said, last year was their best year as an org in Counter-Strike ever. It's been their best year by far. And it's with these guys. And to make a change now, in the pandemic, right? When there are so many excuses that you can have and warranted ones, right? No one wants excuses, but hello, we have a pandemic going on, especially in the States. Things aren't that great. It's not the same type of tournament style you're having. The excuses are there and people are accepting them. So I feel like, no, I don't feel like there should have been a change, especially because it's like, who they're replacing them with, I don't think is going to, make the difference right away anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much in agreement there. I don't think making a change right now is a great idea unless you were bringing in a veteran player. Personally, I think if you had brought in a veteran, somebody that's been on a win, in a winning culture, that knows how to win, can maybe you're looking to take that next step, right? They're sitting at 8th in the standings. It's not like they've plummeted out of the top 20.
Right.
It's not like they're taking a Cloud 9 type fall where they're not in discussion in Counter-Strike for the most part anymore. Like,
uncalled for.
They're still
Uncalled
very
for. A lot of teams
relevant.
you could have used as an example, but uncalled for.
But for Liquid, they're only competing with evil geniuses in NA.
Yeah.
It's not like if they've fallen, it's not like they fell that far. The competition isn't that stiff around them. Knowing that the rest of the tournaments throughout the year are only going to be NA-based tournaments, I think your best chance to win is having Nitr0 on that roster. For me, I don't feel the timing was as good coming towards the end of the player break, because I would have liked to know that they've been practicing with this person maybe during the player break if you're making a change, right? Like, hey guys, sorry, we got to kind of buck up and learn to play with one another.
True.
Now you're going to be heading into these tournaments once again, kind of learning how to work with him. And the new addition that we're talking about here is Grim. If you don't know him, you're probably like a lot of Counter-Strike fans. Like, he's made a name for himself as of recent. He had a couple of really crazy games recently. Played really well against MIBR.
He was the guy who got the 60 bomb. Like, he got 60 kills thanks to overtime, but still, 60 kills, 60 kills. Like, that's impressive.
His rating has skyrocketed this year. Granted, a lot of that happened from the beginning of Corona till now. From like end of February to now, he's had a 1.3 rating. Prior to that, it was closer to a 1.0. So his rating has skyrocketed offline or online versus on LAN. So that could potentially mean something. He's playing for Triumph. He's playing at a time when Tier 2 CS is probably the worst it's ever been because of all the people leaving and going to Valorant. Like, we've seen a lot of great, top tier 2 talent move over and become Valorant pros. So, like, he's kind of in that next line up, I guess you could say. And he is the most promising NA talent, like, that there is. I just don't know how much that means when there's a lack of NA talent right now. So if you're going to make a change and it needs to be an NA player, I would have liked to see a veteran presence personally. But this could really pan out by bringing in like a young potential star. You're going to have to give him time, most likely.
And I don't know if this is the roster that can support a young star, right? Just given how Stewie kind of has a track record of, how do you say this without making, like, I'm not knocking him for this. His play style, this is it. His play style, he likes to go rogue sometimes, right? In my opinion, Stewie likes to try to put the team on his back. He'll go rogue and he'll try to make those big plays. Well, you can't have that and have a young player who's adjusting to being in a top 10 team, right? Like, that formula there is going to be interesting to see how their dynamic works, right? Because they're both aggressive in that sense.
Yeah, especially if he's picking up the IGL role. Like I think we were going to see, so, Stewie's taken multiple roles since being on Liquid. Like he's not asked to necessarily be a superstar on this team, right? Like that's what Twist's job to do. That's what Elige's job is to do. Stewie has become more of a support player and kind of also being versatile has been one of his key things for being on this roster. So I don't think we're going to see Stewie put in a position where they say, "Hey, Stewie, put the team on your back and win games for us." Like they're probably going to need a Lige and Twist to do that for him. And Stewie, my guess, steps into an IGL role. You got to figure out your opping situation because none of them are true oppers. So maybe
Stewie
you have
started
NAF.
officially IGLing this year. I mean, so he's
like earlier in the year,
right,
and then
but when you have your former IGL with you, like now he is solely like he is.
You don't have anyone to help you with those mid-round calls
Right.
and things of that sort, right? So like that falls solely, I feel like, on Stewie now. I think you're going to see NAF move into a primary op role, which that seems a little bit weird, but NAF was second opping for them, I think, most of the time anyway. So a lot of changes. It's going to disrupt the way this team plays, and you're going to have to rely on your heavy hitters to now carry you, and that's a little bit of a problem. Like, again, I just think Nitro was able to do so much, and I'm really curious as to if this was a team decision or if this was Nitro's decision to step down, because I don't think as of today, and you can probably put this on freezing cold takes later, I don't think this is going to make them a better team in the long run. Like this to me seems like an MIBR type move where you're bringing in like the young hotshot to fill that fifth spot that's been playing well, and that can become a rotating door sometimes. Not to say that it will with Grim. I feel like they're going to have to give him time, and I don't know if that's the team their mentality right now.
So for this then, where do you think this leaves Nitro? Do you think he is stepping away from Counter-Strike? I saw Swag tweet at him saying like, "Hey, Valorant's always here for you," or something along those lines. I haven't seen. I mean, I don't like stalk his Twitter or anything, but I haven't seen him be too crazy into to Valorant. But that's also to say too, like Elige, he was playing Valorant pretty heavily, right?
Yeah,
and so. Maybe that
I'm sure he's dabbled in it at the very least, right? Okay, so Valorant's an option, but I don't want to think too hard into that right now. I think Nitro could step into Valorant and be fine. It's Counter-Strike with quirks, right? So he could learn agents' abilities. Like that's not that difficult. It's hard to teach aim, movement, game awareness. Like it's hard to teach that. We know Nitro has that. Like we know he would be a top tier aimer in that league.
So
right
what do you think's more likely? Him go to Valorant, him retire from Counter-Strike, like maybe he's just done, right? Even though he's only like 24 or 25. We haven't even brought that up. Like even though he's been on Liquid for 5 years, you would think that would place him at like 30, right? Given like how long he was on one team. He was only on the team. He got on the team when he was 19. Like people forget that. Like he's only 24. So he's got his whole career ahead of him at this point. So I don't think he's retiring by any means. Even though maybe now with that Grand Slam money he could, who knows. But would you see him what would you see him first as? A Valorant player or joining another NA team, say Cloud9 or Evil Geniuses?
So I don't see him making the switch to Valorant right now because I think he's still we haven't seen a true tier 1 CS player make the switch besides Mixwell because he wasn't currently on a team. If Mixwell was on a good team at the time that Valorant came out, Mixwell wouldn't have moved over either. Like his hand was kind of forced, right? But we've yet to see a true tier 1 CS player make the move in active status, which Nitro still is, like you said, because of his age.
I mean, that's active. Right.
Yeah. So
it's active.
Cloud9, yes, is an option, but I think that's got to be a full roster rehaul, right? I don't see him joining a roster like Cloud9 to go elevate them, right? I don't see that happening personally. Evil Geniuses, probably not. Again, not at this time because Evil Geniuses is sitting in the top 3 in the standings. They've been playing well. They're partially the reason that Liquid made a move. I would like to see a Team Tim like FaZe pick him up. I know FaZe just made the move for Bimos recently. They have another young talent in Brokey, and it's hard to think of like who would they switch at this point in time. But I think FaZe has lacked a lot of leadership on that team. They have star players all around them, but they haven't had a true IGL. And I know, like we talked about, Nitro stepped out of that role, but I think he would be a great addition to a team like FaZe that have all the gunners around him. We've seen Nitro take a team to number one before, play on a number one team, whether he was the key component or just a big part of it, up for you to decide. I think that's something that FaZe needs. It's something that they've lacked for a long time, and it's the international roster, so it works. I know they play in EU, but it's truly a roster full of no one's speaking the same native language. They're all speaking English in terms of communicating with one another. So to me, that would make the most sense. I don't know if that's like a realistic possibility, but there's just not much in NA. Like 100 Thieves is not truly an NA roster. Like they're the Australian roster that's playing in NA. Complexity probably not making a move unless
But I could see that. Right, I could see him on Complexity. I don't know if necessarily, Jason Lake just bought that roster. They had, what was it, Summit? Did they win? What did they win?
They won.
They won a tournament. I don't remember which one.
I don't remember which.
But I mean, obviously, my point is like they're feeling good. They're on an uptick, right? So I don't know.
Katowice group stage. Where the hell was it?
I don't know if they're necessarily looking at making a roster, but Blast. It was Blast.
Blast, yeah.
Thank you, Canada. In chat, yeah, Blast. So I don't think Complexity. Although I would like to see that because I think that would actually improve that roster, but I just don't think you change up a roster after you're having like a good year. In Complexity's eyes.
Yeah, I mean for Complexity, this is the highest. This is the most relevant they've been in years, and they've only kind of been improving. Now, if they made a change, I think it'll really be tough, like on who to decide who do you swap out on that roster, right? You're not doing it for Blame F, like he's your IGL, your captain right now. Config, no. Poison and OBO, like both really young talents that he probably has on a relatively like good deal, I would think. Probably like maybe Rush, but I just don't see them doing it. I just don't see them making a move right now. So his options are limited, and I don't think he's going to see a ton of people flock to him right now because the timing for him being at the end of the player break, although you say that may be good for Liquid, it's like pretty crappy for him. Like people are now getting ready to ramp back up and get started, not look to make a change just as things get going. So options are limited, but we'll see. Like if he's in Valorant, I don't mind that. I'd be super happy for him. I think he would excel for sure. And if he decides to stay in Counter-Strike, like I hope it's to a roster to where that team continues to be relevant because him in the NA scene is a good thing.
Yeah, because I mean, that was going to be my next thing is outside of like that, the NA scene is just looking more and more bleak because let's be real, we've had a lot of the talent pool switch over to Valorant in CS. Right now, you've seen a lot more tier 2 guys closer to that tier 1 status move over to Valorant. And with Nitro leaving, you're losing a guy who 9 major appearances. He did win the Grand Slam in record time for the Intel Grand Slam. So although never captured that major, he's had Columbus, they made semis. The one year they got second. Did they ever get second at a major? Or were they always just semis?
That's a good question, Tim. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
I think there was only semis. I don't think they ever... Well, he got second at ESL 1 Cologne in 2016.
Yeah, so...
And that was a major.
Point being is, I mean, he's had a historic career with, although the resume and the stats might not show it, the guy's, I mean, NA Hall of Fame, easy.
Yeah, only thing missing on that resume is a championship.
Yeah.
But everything else stacks up. I mean, the Grand Slam is massive, like a massive achievement because they did it in record timing of like 60-ish days. You
Yeah.
know, like it was crazy the run that they went on. We haven't seen a run really like that in that short of a span, the amount of tournaments that they won. And that's the part that makes it sad because that was not that long ago. I mean, it was a year ago.
No, and it feels forever ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
So stay hard, Nitro. Hopefully we'll see you around. Maybe he'll join Envy. We can get him on the show easy that way. Maybe. No.
Wow.
Whoa.
What? Actually, I didn't even think about that.
I said that out loud. I'm a genius. I didn't even mean it. It's just the heads up esports brain that I have just put that together.
Mike, throw money at this man. Get this dude on your team. That would be a solid addition for Envy. He would stay playing in one of the top leagues. There's only 2 leagues, but he'd be staying in one of the pro leagues. That would be a good facelift for them on the
There's
CS
already
side.
rumors that they are shopping around some guys,
Yep.
specifically more of their European talent. They obviously want to get a little. I say this. They don't want to become more NA. Envy, ever since they ditched their French roster, right, has always been, and Mike's just like this, right? They want to be located in Dallas, right? They don't care if you're EU, Brazilian, whatever. They don't care, but you do have to come to Dallas, right?
Yeah, all their teams are local based now, right?
Yes.
Their COD team, their Overwatch team. They're, we'll talk about them even later in the show with, what they've announced here as of recent, but they're trying to build themselves as a brand in the DFW area. They're already a global brand, but they want to be recognized amongst the top tier
and that would keep
sports
Nitro
locally.
That would keep Nitro in NA. So, man, now that I say that, I think,
man, Tim, you might be onto something.
yeah, I think that'd be the best fit for everyone. So, hopefully that happens.
Send the text out.
Hopefully that happens. I'll put out the feelers. Okay, you just look for that next per sources. Just follow us on Twitter. We got per sources news all over. We're just breaking news left and right. Official though, we do not give out our sources. That's official show policy. We have what's the guy from Game of Thrones? Birds? Does he have birds or spiders?
Oh yeah, he has
the guy with no penis.
Varys,
right? Can I be honest with you? I've only seen like 3 seasons.
What?
I know.
Tim.
I know.
It's a great show.
Yeah. I don't disagree.
It's like a show you would like,
but not the wife. And,
yeah, Kelly hated that shit.
So I can't. You know how it goes when you're married.
Now the problem is now you got to binge watch, so now it's even more difficult, right? When I was watching it live, so I was like, babe, I want to watch Game of Thrones for like 1 hour a week when it comes on. Like, go do something during that time. Now, if you started watching it, you're like watching it on free time.
Yeah.
So that's a problem.
I've watched a lot of shows that I probably thought I never would watch because of the wife. But hey, happy wife, happy life. That's what they tell me. Have
you seen Breaking Bad?
Oh yeah, I mean I've seen Breaking Bad. Yes, not with her, but
you've seen the series.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Breaking Bad. I got that. I've seen The Witcher. Never seen The Sopranos.
I heard that sucked.
The Witcher?
Yeah, I heard it was like not good.
Whoever told you that's wrong. Whoever told you that's wrong.
Is it rated good?
It's good. Yes. Go watch The Witcher on Netflix. It's good. I promise. Anyways, that's your Netflix talk for you. That's TV talk here on the Center Ring, because we got to get to another pressing matter. Is in esports, and that's sponsorships. Anuj, this kind of always rears its head. I feel like every 3 years or so, where like we kind of take that next level in sponsorships, and it upsets a lot of people. Started off what was it? Would you say the gambling sponsorships when that really got out of hand? 4 years ago now, 3 or 4 years ago, where
at
it was
least,
really frowned upon, and even like some tournaments weren't allowing teams in if you had a gambling sponsor. You could not have a gambling website sponsor on your jersey. I think Virtus Pro ran into an issue because like in their name online, it was a betting website. Nip ran into it. A lot of the European teams ran into issues with this. And it's because at that time, that's when all the gambling scandals came out. Somehow FaZe became more popular from it and more successful. But nonetheless, like that was a big thing was, we don't want gambling sponsorships in esports. Well, that blew over. No one cares about that anymore. Even here in the States, sports betting is becoming more and more legal in states as time goes on. So that's not really an issue.
You should plug Thrive here.
I mean, because you do have the top sports betting out there for your daily fantasy prop bets in Thrive with Thrive Fantasy. You can download the fantasy sports app for prop bets, and if you enter in the code TCR, you will get a free $10 for your first $10 minimum deposit. Now, 3 or 4 years ago, we would have looked at like heathens saying that. We would have looked like monsters promoting gambling in esports. But we do always say gamble responsible.
Well, the thing is, it was like all that stupid skin gambling. It wasn't necessarily like money gambling like you're seeing blowing up today, right? You're seeing sites like your DraftKings and all that taking off. That's like proper gambling. What Tim is more referring to is a lot of these sites that were partnering up with teams were scamming gambling sites because of the skins. Like they were literally rigging the system to win your skins.
Yeah, it's essentially like playing the slots online. Like, if you don't think those are rigged, then you're probably the same person who sends money to a Nigerian prince. Like,
these are like gambling sites run by esports orgs. It's a recipe for disaster. I mean, it could not be more unethical than what was going on during that time.
Then it came out that the orgs own the websites, and we've talked about that before, and I'll go on a rant, I'm sure, anytime someone brings it up. But that's just a long way of saying is sponsors have always been a hot topic in esports, right? So recently, the LEC, League of Legends, of course, everyone knows, and Riot has announced that they are partnering up for their summer season with, I don't know how to say this. Is it NEOM or NEOM?
Let's go with NEOM.
NEOM? I'm going to say NEOM.
Yeah.
Okay. That they're partnering with them for their summer sponsorship. Okay. Now, what was quietly also announced yesterday was a Blast, the Counter-Strike tournament, so not just League of Legends. So they're clearly having their focus on esports, right? NEOM is clearly focusing on esports sponsorship right now. Blast also announced that they have a partnership a little bit bigger than just like a summertime thing. Blast is going to work with them, Anuj, as far as they're going to design a new NEOM Counter-Strike map. They're going to have educational work placements for future Blast events. And whatever this means, Blast technology will help NEOM build an esports academy. Now, for those who don't know what NEOM is, and I've done a little bit of research, okay, for this, just to fill you in, it's essentially, from what I gather, going to be like a city of the future in Saudi Arabia. Like it's going to be a city, and it's going to be...
So Dubai on crack?
Yeah, I guess that's kind of what it... Yeah. Dubai was kind of the city of the future, and now I feel like this is going to be like Dubai 2.0, and they're taking it to the next level. And obviously, I guess esports is going to be involved there. So there's that. It's going to be like Ready Player One, I guess. I don't know. So you're probably thinking right now.
I watched that today.
Did you?
While
Is it
I was
good?
working. I
I've
had
never
that
seen
on
it.
in the background. Yeah, not bad.
Okay.
Not bad.
There we go. Another one that the wife does not want to watch. So I will.
No, that's why I had it on while I was like, oh, that's
I'll
one
never
that I
see
can
it.
turn on and watch.
I'll never.
It wasn't bad. It was okay.
I did watch Indian Matchmaker on Netflix. So I thought about you the whole time. So.
How do you think I got Kelly?
I just thought your parents would be disappointed that you married a white person. The whole time I was watching that show, I was like, Anuj must have just disappointed his parents the whole time. Your sister is now the favorite, 100%.
She's marrying a Muslim, so even now she's yeah.
Okay, well,
she's getting more risky.
All right, back to Neom. Anuj. So you're probably thinking to yourself, Tim, what's the problem with having them as a sponsor? They sound great. They want to make a city of the future where it's all like ran on efficiency and whatever, right? What's the problem with that? The problem is, Anuj, is that Neom's founder is Mohammed bin Salam, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia and deputy prime minister. Again, if you're like me earlier today, you're thinking, what's the big deal? You got a prince being your sponsorship. Like, that's pretty badass. Now, I have no idea about world affairs. You will Google this guy's name, and you will quickly find that he is not a nice guy. He's not a
That's
nice
an understatement of the year.
Now, that being said, if Muhammad, if you're listening to the show, because we have fans everywhere, I love you, and I think you're a super sweet guy. I think you're very handsome. I thought about
Please don't
naming
kill me.
my firstborn after you, and I wish you all the best of luck in the future. That being said, this guy is nuts. Absolutely nuts. Now, for those who follow the news a little bit, you probably heard a little bit ago that like a reporter was died or killed. I say died. He died. No, he was murdered. He was straight up assassinated in Saudi Arabia, like chopped up into little pieces, right? And it is pretty much a known fact that the one who did this to him was the crown prince of Saudi Arabia. Like, he is known for having a Tiger Squad, which is like a official military assassination group that goes around just killing people that he wants.
Yeah, like the Turkish incident that you're talking about, he was a journalist for like the Washington Post. Like, he was here in the US living here like most of the time, and it was brutal, like the story of what they did to him, and that seems like just a drop in the hat
Like,
compared to what this guy has
sawed
done.
this guy alive with a hacksaw, from what I heard.
Yeah, and then said they didn't do it and had a fake clone of him walk out of the building. Like, there's some crazy video on this. Like, you can not see the killing, but you can see the whole setup and how it was done.
Yeah.
But yeah, this dude is responsible for more than what you would call hate crimes against the LGBT community. I mean, he kills them. You know, if you come out as homosexual, like whatever your sexual orientation is, if it's not what they consider normal, you're probably going to be in trouble, you know? And so that's where the yikes comes up here, is because this information is known. It's not like Tim had to go out and do hours of research, guys, to figure this out.
And like, for the record, I'm also just a podcast host, right? Like, I'm not following the beat on Saudi Arabia assassinations and evil princes. Like, that's not me. However, if like I was Riot and I was looking for a giant sponsorship, like, you don't just not know this stuff. Like, it's out there. It's very obvious. So I don't really know the irony that Riot announced this while still having their Pride logo on the LEC's like Twitter profile picture.
Yeah.
Like, you can't make that shit up. That's the best form of irony in itself. So now you're having this wave of what's the word? Displeasement? Displeasurement? People aren't happy about it, right? People who work in League of Legends, people who work for Riot, people who report on the news, they're not happy about this, obviously. With Riot or Blast. Now, Blast has also had tournaments in Qatar, which is notoriously known for, you know, civil rights issues and everything like that. I kind of just want to discuss, like, where is your mindset when you read this? Because I've honestly heard both sides of the spectrum today.
So let's just talk about the Riot aspect of it, not so much the Blast at the moment. For the Riot side, I'm not surprised at all. They're Chinese owned. I mean, they're owned by Tencent, majority owned by Tencent. And if you see, I mean, there's labor issues, there's concentration camps, there's a lot of shit going on in China that it wouldn't surprise me, like, if they're offering a lot of money, this is what it's about for them, right? Like, they're not sitting there fighting civil rights issues within Riot. Like, they're there for the money. Um, the teams have been awkwardly silent. We've seen individuals come out. The teams aren't saying shit. You know why, Tim? Because they get a cut. It's you can see it laid out. They get a percentage of the money of sponsorship deals.
They
I
had,
think it's like 50%. If I'm not mistaken.
To make this political, but the teams had no problem tweeting about Black Lives Matter and everything, 3 weeks ago, right? Like, you thought, we have this wave of new thinking approaching us. Every esports org seems to be on the same page when it comes to civil rights and the right way to think. And yes, you're absolutely right. It's been funny quiet around some of these teams.
I haven't seen a peep from any of the teams. Again, I've seen several individuals step up and announce their displeasure with what happened today, right? Now, will any of them make a harder stance? That I really don't know, because it is people's careers, right? It's hard to tell somebody. Like, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter today telling Skoj and, like, the other big announcer, I think, what's his name, Hotshot or something like that. I can't remember his name. Anyways, telling these guys, like, oh, you should do more with the power that you have. Well, you're also telling this person to kind of drop their career to make a stance, when I feel like the team should be the ones kind of being more involved in doing that, because Riot's not going to just drop them out of the league for saying something out loud. That would be a bad look too, but it's terrible. Like, I hope that they see the way the world is kind of the esports world is taking this news, and that how much disappointment there is in their decision to do it, that I hope they change their, can back out of the deal at this point. I don't think that that's likely. Okay.
You want to make that
I don't
call?
think that it's likely, but I did say I hope.
After we just talked about this guy sawed a reporter in pieces while he was still alive because he wrote something bad about him, and you think Riot's gonna call him up and be like, "Hey, Muhammad,
bad news.
Got something to say?" No,
yeah. I mean,
it's a tough position, and like I said, it's real sucky to happen a month after everyone was riding high on support, right? Like, orgs could really say no wrong in the sense of Black Lives Matter and Pride Month and the marches and things like that, because for the most part, everyone was on the same page. Like, every org was on the same page to support the movement. And now this, I feel like, puts you right back at square one with a lot of these communities, where it's just kind of like, okay, so was all that talk because you didn't have a sponsorship from them? Like, if all of a sudden, I don't even know what legal organization is out there that they could accept a sponsor for that would have made them not speak up on Black Lives Matter,
The KKK.
I was going to say the KKK, but I felt like that one was pretty obvious. Like, they wouldn't accept money, but maybe they would. Maybe if the KKK was, just rebranded.
Maybe the NRA then, I guess, is the next closest thing.
Yeah. Whoever, right? What if the KKK created another company that they were just the parent company for?
They were making a utopia in Arkansas somewhere, an esports utopia.
Oh, could you imagine? The esports would be so conflicted. Like, wow, this is really great, but you're the KKK, but you got Google Fiber. Like, KKK, Google Fiber, I don't know.
Look, the problem is the teams are not going to take a lot of hate for this, okay? Like, the hate is going to be focused towards Riot, because ultimately it was them that made the deal, and I'm sure a lot of people out there don't think about the fact that, hey, maybe the orgs are also benefiting from this in some way. Maybe, right? So the hate is directed towards Riot, as it should be in this situation, but people need to understand, like, the teams are awfully quiet. Like they could still take a stand against it. They're still going to get their money most likely, and still could have taken a stand against it. But it's more than just a bad look. It was a bad decision, and it sucks because, like you said, the timing couldn't have been worse when you felt like this sense of unity amongst everybody. Like, this is a little different than the gambling sites. This feels a little different than YouPorn being an investor in one of the esports teams, right? Like, those were bad looks.
Whoa.
The gambling
YouPorn
stuff
was not a bad look.
The gambling stuff went up beyond that because they truly scammed people.
YouPorn was the peak of esports.
Out of money. It wasn't lives, right? They weren't killing people. And so there's not going to be, I think, a resolution to this kind of anytime soon. Like, I think Riot's just hoping that people are going to be mad right now. They're going to speak out, but then we're going to move on.
Well,
and I think that's what they're hoping for here.
That's what they're hoping for. That's what Blast is hoping for. And you know what? It's exactly what's going to happen. All these people, and I'm going to sound like a negative Nancy, but all these people hopping up on their high horses, saying that this isn't right, and these people working for them needs to step down, and they need to take a stand. First off, that's very easier said than done when it's not your career, right? This isn't just a casting job that, a Counter-Strike caster is a way different casting job than working for Riot. When you are with the league, right? When you're with League of Legends, when you're with the LCS or the LEC, those are like straight up like
Overwatch League, Call of Duty.
Those are I don't want to say cush, but what am I looking for? Steady. Those are steady positions. That is your job.
You have one particular employer. You're not freelance.
Yes, you're not.
You're not doing freelance work. Like, you work for Riot. If you take a stand against them by not participating, you have the possibility of losing your job.
And you are replaceable.
Not to say that they also couldn't go out and get another job. They most likely could, because somebody would, out of the goodness of their heart, give them an opportunity in another esport. Now, Scotia's done several esports before, but maybe not everybody, right? Like, she's one of a handful of people that's in those positions. So again, you're right. Like, people are going to yell and bitch about it. I do think, sadly, that this goes by the wayside a little bit unless people take those stands, right? If people are willing to do more than just get upset on Twitter, then yes, this could become something more than it is right now. But if this is kind of the brunt of it, and these first 24 hours is as bad as it gets, and my timeline starts to clear up a little bit more tomorrow, and then the day after it's a little bit less, and by like Monday next week, we're back to memeing other games and talking about Halo and whatever else, then yeah, it's not going to become more of an issue than it is today.
And that's what's going to happen, because look at the way everything's worked out in esports, right? I don't even want to say that it's just people are quick to forgive, but people are definitely quick to forget. When in esports, you have the most profitable org, I would say, at the moment in FaZe Clan, working with the NFL, getting a Verizon deal. They are working with what seems to be every rapper out there. Every celebrity is signing up with them. FaZe Clan is, I would have to imagine, when Forbes comes out with their next ranking, gotta be like number 1 or 2 out there.
Yeah.
And yet, admittingly so, FaZe Bank admits that they pretty much built that org on gambling scams. They built it with borderline illegal money. And everyone knows it. And everyone doesn't care. And they move on with their lives. That's just how it works. The attention span is next to nothing, right? We're going to sit here and complain about it. But as soon as, LES or LEC starts up again, people are going to go. Because guess what? You want to watch your sports. You want to watch your game, and you're going to do it regardless, right? There is a lot of shady stuff that goes on in traditional sports and in esports, and ultimately, people just want to have fun and chill. They don't want to make everything a political debate. And so, you know what? If you have a shitty sponsor, you got a shitty sponsor. But guess what? I still got to watch my football. I'm still going to watch my Counter-Strike. I'm still going to do this, or that. It's just how people are lately, right? It's just, I don't know. I don't see this making as big of an impact as some people want to make it seem.
Yeah, and that's not to say, again, that we don't think that this is like a shitty move.
Oh, no, it's dumb.
So, like,
It is a bad
this
move.
is just us saying that we think that the feelings and the emotions that are out there today will dissipate faster than we've seen with other things going on in the world right now. It's going to take more than voices getting upset on Twitter is all I'm saying. So if it becomes more, great. I think that's awesome. I just have my doubts.
And then on the other flip side, the other drama, which was funny because this was actually what we were going to talk about originally. And then the esports gods were like, you know what? You guys need a little bit more to talk about. So League,
I
Riot,
would like hold my beer.
yeah, Riot and Blast were like, guess what, guys? And it's everything we said to Riot applies to Blast. It's a bad look, but again, Blast has worked in the Middle East before, so again, not a shocker. I think this all to them is business, right? Like you said, they're not looking to fight your civil rights battle. That's just not how it is. It's as shitty as it might sound. That's how it is. And poor Blast, because they really almost got away with it. They posted this yesterday that they signed this sponsorship with Neom, and no one knew. It wasn't even on our e-news radar. I didn't see it. No one saw it. It was all kosher. And then Riot announced this today, and everyone was like, hey, Blast did it too. And Blast is
Blast go in, delete the post real quick.
Blast is like, God damn it. We were like 1 week away from burying this tweet. Like, why? Why'd you have to say something? Also, suspiciously enough, Blast also today has like just garbage tweets just to bury it. You can tell. Good times. But the one thing that we were going to talk about in the segment to begin with, which honestly now, Anuj, to me,
doesn't seem like a big deal
like,
at all.
I don't really see what the big deal is. And even at the time of this announcement, again, maybe I'm ignorant to this brand. Maybe I don't know what they've done. But the big thing was the Charge from the Overwatch League. A couple weeks ago announced that they have their main sponsorship being is it Herbalife? Is that how you say it?
Yeah,
Herbalife. Which again, I've heard of the brand. I didn't necessarily know what it was. But it's like one of those pyramid schemes, right? You sell this, it's like Mary Kay, right? You sell it, you get some other people to sell it, and then it all trickles down, making a pyramid. Hence pyramid scheme. So
have you ever worked for a pyramid scheme?
No, but no, I've never worked for one, but I remember the first time I learned what a pyramid scheme was, and that's when you and I, many years ago, worked at Circuit City. And when it was going out of business, do you not remember all the pyramid scheme recruiters in there?
Yeah, I remember before Circuit City. Yeah, I do remember that. Before Circuit City, my first job was actually, I had a job before Circuit City too. But my first job was with Cutco. Do you know that brand?
No.
Does that sound familiar? Selling knives. I was like a sophomore in high school and I wanted to make some money so I could buy some shoes. And I got a job with Cutco. I didn't know what it was. I just know that I got an interview request from there and it felt good. Dad dropped me off, went in for the interview, and I remember coming out to the car telling my dad, this is some bullshit. I'm never going to make money doing this. And it was like going door to door selling knives, and then you could get your friends to like go sell your knives, and for every knife that they sold, you got like
A cut.
X amount of money.
Yeah.
And they would like give you a set of knives to take home, and the scissors that they had could cut through a penny, so you were supposed to show people that in their home. And I was like, dude, this is like 2000, this is like 2002, this is like right after 9/11. How many people are gonna let an Indian dude in their house with a box of knives right now? Like, it was not happening. And I remember telling my dad, I was like, nope, take me to the mall. I'm gonna go apply at all the stores, and sure enough, Gap hired me the next week. So yeah, I mean these setups, which is what they are. It's
And
just
you're
like
not
a big
alone. Prong Attack in Twitch chat says everyone he knew in college did Cutco. So apparently that was a thing back in the day.
No, Cutco was like huge. They were like huge. But this is exactly what it was. Like the whole objective was it was more of an objective to get people to come and work under
Right.
you than it was for you
and
to
I
sell
know
the product
people-
yourself.
I know people who are wildly successful through these type of businesses. We had a friend who was like selling coffee, right? And newsflash, people, they actually wanted to sponsor some episodes, but I said no. So you're welcome. I said no to money because I was like, this is a pyramid scheme, and I would feel bad. I can't out of good faith do it to our listeners. But that being said, that's just because the price wasn't right. I would sell all of you out if the price was right. But I look, and that's ultimately what the pyramid scheme is. I think everyone knows what a pyramid scheme is, and everyone knows when they're in one, right? It's just one of those things. If you're okay with it, some people like it. Some people like that hustle of getting people to sell for them, and then it really can grow into something, right? But ultimately, it's got a very negative view because it's just a dick move to do to your friends and family to spam Facebook with, hey, everyone, check out my knives. Like, you need some pots? I got pots. You want some coffee? So I get that. And again, maybe I'm ignorant when it comes to Herbalife. I don't see, everyone was like, how can esports allow a pyramid scheme? Bro, we got like FC Dallas, which is like a soccer team in the Major League Soccer team. Isn't their main sponsor a pyramid scheme?
I don't even know who it is.
Oh, shoot. How do I not know this? I produced a soccer show. Advocare.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see, and there you
Herbalife
go.
sponsors LA Galaxy and MLS.
And that's where I've seen them before. Is in soccer, Herbalife sponsors the LA Galaxy. So like everyone's like, oh, we're just becoming traditional sports, and this is the other thing that irks me, Anuj. Okay, and I'm about to get into salt mine, so get ready. Is you have these guys when I say guys, people in esports are getting on their high horses, saying like, esports used to be pure. Esports it used to just be about playing the game, and now we're selling out like traditional sports to all these pyramid schemes and social injustice. And listen, okay, I'm behind you as far as not signing a deal with an assassin. Okay, I get that. Don't sign a deal. Rule number 1 in business: don't sign deals with dudes who kill gay people. Number 1, right? That's like in the TCR employee handbook. Number 1, you block those phone numbers, okay? Rule number 2, don't get involved in a pyramid scheme. It just gets ugly, okay? Rule number 3, you call people out on their bullshit when they try to say esports used to be pure and never shady. Are you kidding me? Did you not hear the entire conversation we just had about gambling scandals and like everything else that went on in esports? People throwing games. People apparently all you had to do was suck some guy's dick to get your game into Evo. Like, hello, where have you been to say that esports has been pure? Like, give me a break. It's never been as pure as you thought, but like, come on.
Them partnering with Herbalife though doesn't really bother me that much. Like, I don't really care. Like, okay, so what? Like, do your own homework and educate yourself to not get involved with their sponsor. Like, if you don't like Herbalife, don't buy their product. I mean, like, what more is there to it? Like, if they're doing what they do, I know they've done other shady stuff. What I'm saying is, to like the normal person, if you don't want to support them, don't buy their product. Yeah. And just move on with your day. Like, they're getting a fat check to probably have them as a sponsor. And just because you're a sponsor doesn't mean you're a good company, a good organization. It just means you are willing to pay for a spot. And so, Like it that does not bother me that
No.
much. It really
out of all the
doesn't.
things that people were complaining about, and some people like tried comparing it to Neom, and like to me, my brain couldn't wrap around that.
No,
Like, I mean,
they're
yeah,
not even
pyramids,
close to the same thing.
like pyramid schemes are scummy, but last I checked, they weren't murdering people. So I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm just ignorant on the topic. But like I said, is this all going to be forgotten in 2 weeks when the next big injustice happens? Yeah, and then we'll all move on. And guess what? We only have like a couple more weeks till the player break is up in Counter-Strike. And then I could tell you who will forget about all this. TCR. Because I'm just ready to talk some Counter-Strike. I'm just ready to get back into it. So, you know, it is what it is. There's nothing we can do. So there's that. I don't know if do you feel like we have some moral obligation in esports to say no to these sponsors, or?
Well, to like Neom, yes. I do believe that there should be like something inside of you should tell you that this is a bad move. Like, regardless of what they're paying you, you should sit there and be like, look at what this human has done to other humans. Like, that's a really fucked up thing, you know? Like, that is beyond.
Take out the fact that he targets the LGBTQ community and just
It's
puts
just
in people
against people.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter if
people.
Gay, white, black, Asian, like it doesn't matter who they're doing it to. Straight, like it doesn't matter. He's killing people, and that's bad enough. And so, yes, that's crossing a line. The gambling scandal was crossing a line. It was taking people's hard-earned money, generally their parents' hard-earned money, and now we know what FaZe Clan was doing with it. They were just blowing lines in the corner and getting fucked up the whole time. Like, that is crossing a line, you know? Herbalife, bad sponsor. I don't think it's anywhere in the same category, though, as the other two. You have an option as a consumer to buy a product or not buy a product. You have an option as an individual to join a pyramid scheme or not join a pyramid scheme. That's up to you. If you're dumb enough to do it, sucks for you, right? If you did it because you saw it on the background of a team's, center, like, that's your problem.
Yeah.
But this was just a bad move by Riot, by Blast. It's just a bad move. There's no way around it. Like, probably too hard to back out, but
Prong Attack in Twitch chat says he joined once. He joined a pyramid scheme once. Look, bro, don't listen. That being said, if you have been part of a pyramid scheme, don't feel bad, because I can promise you, everyone has either joined a pyramid scheme or, like a Nuge, almost joined a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, dude, if they had given me a little bit of money up front, just a little bit of a signing bonus, my ass would have been selling knives, so I could have got those shoes real quick.
Your whole life could have been different.
Your whole life has been different.
Like, I remember at Circuit City when we were going out of business, and you'd have those guys in there. They give you the pamphlets, and me being like 16 at the time wasn't really sure what a pyramid scheme was. And I remember I took it home, and my parents were like, "Yeah, let me sit you down, son. Let me tell you what this is." And I was like, "Oh, okay, all right." So, but maybe the right pyramid scheme just didn't come around. If it was like an ice cream pyramid scheme or something like that, probably would have done it. Probably would have ate all my my stock. But hey, there's that. So don't feel bad. Don't feel bad if you fell for a pyramid scheme. That's why they're called schemes, right? Because someone's got to fall for them. Let's get into some e-news, because we got quite a bit to get to. In CSGO, Nitr0 turns down Mad Lions, and some people are upset.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an odd move by Nitr0 to not take that spot, because Mad Lions is a top 10, 15 team. Nitr0, although I thought he was like good on NIP, like I thought he did a decent job with the lineup that he had. He never turned them into like one of the best teams in the world consistently. Like, they made some runs and played around the top 10, but that was kind of it. They didn't win like many big tournaments with him on the roster. So thought it was an odd move. Hunden was in particular. Hunden is part of he's the head coach for Heroic now, but he was on the Mad Lions roster at one point in time. He had some choice words for Nitr0 on Twitter, and again, I think it's a weird move. I don't know how many options Nitr0 has. Maybe he's waiting to get back on Fnatic and hoping for them to make a move at some point, but don't see anything. I don't see a ton of other offers coming through right now.
No.
For bigger name teams, I should say.
Word on the street. When you posted this in the show chat, I had to Google just to make sure that it was like the same thing.
Yeah.
But Sivo is making a comeback.
The reason it's a word on the street is they had like a cryptic tweet out there, and they're sponsored by Gfinity. Sivo, for those of you that don't know, was like the Counter-Strike hub at one point. It was ESEA and FACEIT combined. Like they really dominated the third-party platform for CSGO. They still have a subscription-based model, I believe, on their website, but it looks like they have some sort of big announcement coming back. I would love to see Sivo back in the mix. Like ESEA has sucked for quite some time. FACEIT, FACEIT's okay actually. They have their own set of problems, but I think they're okay for the most part. But hey, look, competition's great. If Sivo can come in, they had the glory days of 1.6 for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see what they can do.
That's what I grew up playing on. So
yeah, excited.
To no one's surprise, Simple is banned on Twitch again, and so is Zeus. Navi Zeus, not MIBR Zeus.
Yeah, Navi Zeus. This was funny because there were some great tweets that came off of this. Simple's tweet was like, "Hello, Champions Club." And then he copied and pasted Doc's basically tweet there saying, "I don't know why I was banned. I'm still waiting to find out." Twist from Liquid made a joke with Slasher's tweet saying, "I know why Simple was banned, but I don't feel comfortable sharing it at this time." So at least we got some humor out of it. Who knows why Simple and Zeus were banned? I'm hoping it's not for some stupid racial slur that they've been banned for in the past. I was going to
say, they've been busted on that before, and people try to play the card of like, well, they said it in Russian. Yeah, that's not how language works. Okay? You can't just go to Germany and start slinging the N-word and be like, what? It's English. Doesn't mean anything here. Like, that's a language doesn't give you free pass to say whatever you want. It's still intent. Hey, and don't ever say your voice doesn't have power, because it is thanks to us, the Center Ring Esports podcast, that Moira's update in the upcoming Overwatch patch has been scrapped. Blizzard said, you know what? Until I heard it on Yikes of the Week, it really didn't open my eyes that it was dumb.
I'm pretty sure they said like their words were it moved them. Seeing it on Yikes of the Week really touched somebody over there, and we're glad it did, because again, this was a change that we really thought could break the game in ways that we were surprised they didn't think about when they implemented it. Right?
I'm surprised a lot of things.
It seemed obvious. Like it just seemed obvious, and so look, they can tweak that ability a little bit if they want to make it a little bit stronger. It's just, don't go from like 0 to 100 here. Yeah. Let's ease onto that gas pedal a little bit. So they have scrapped it. Genji's updates are live, if I'm not mistaken now. But Moira's have been scrapped.
Genji's is still going on, which I think for the most part people were positive about it because it kind of made them a little bit more, had some more oomph with them, which, I think people have learned. As much as we hated Genji at the start of Overwatch, it's good to have your boy back. That Genji meta a couple weeks ago, it's always, you don't know what you got until it's gone.
Yeah.
People hated the DPS and dive, and now that's all people wish. Also, another example about how our voice here on the Center Ring, I think, changes lives. It changes culture. It changes world events. As of 15 minutes ago, LEC has announced that they are terminating their partnership with Neom. So that was tweeted like 10, 15 minutes ago as we were going on our rant. So live programming is fun.
I'm glad they were listening in.
They were
They must,
clearly listening live on Twitch and said, damn, you know what? They're making a lot of sense. This is a dumb move. And
Blizzard should take notes with what they did with the Blitz Chung and all those guys and holding the hard stance on them
yeah.
for
So good.
speaking out. Yeah.
Good on Riot. So you proved me wrong, right? Even though they still did it, right? So I still think this will be forgotten in a week where people are going to be like, hey, Riot, you people make mistakes, even though, no, they definitely still signed the paper. Look, your angry tweets didn't inform Riot of this. They knew well ahead of time, right? So they're still not exonerated from doing it. They still knew well ahead that this was happening. But hey, people change. So
Hey, good. They dropped it, right? That's what we wanted to see. We didn't think it would happen, but they did it. So the pressure from the community was enough. And
can we please get some thoughts and prayers in the chat for the poor bastard who has to call Prince Mohammed of Saudi Arabia to tell him the deal is no longer happening?
you think that was done like via email?
Dude, I would have, what's it, star 69 so he doesn't get caller ID? I would have sent over like a carrier pigeon or something like that. I would have done it in a Warzone chat so he couldn't find me or something, because that poor bastard who had to make that call is no longer with us by the time we're done recording this episode. Say hard to that guy, because that's the scary phone call.
Good for them, though. Good for them. You know, Tim, speaking of Warzone,
get
Minnesota
the intern. That was an
Rocker.
intern who did it. Riot said, they called him in and said, hey, Jimmy, you're enjoying your summer internship, aren't you?
Do you want to turn this into a full-time job? we have an idea.
We got a promotion.
We have a way we can make this happen. Minnesota Rocker have bench God RX. He has been placed on the bench in place of Exceed. Interesting the way this is done. Obviously happening right before champs seems questionable, but at the end of the day, we do know Minnesota Rocker have struggled tremendously since going online. And for them, you know, it's unfortunate because God RX was actually a stellar player when they were on LAN, and he really suffered from the whole COVID situation. They still will pay him full money if they go 0-2, because then they said that the way that they worded it was, well, getting Exceed on our team didn't matter because we were bad with you and we were bad without you type situation. So if they go 0-2 in champs and still somehow place in some money situation, God RX will still get the money for that. And if they win a couple of spots and go up and do get money, he will get a portion of the payment then as well.
I mean, that's really the only right way to do it, right? You would be a major asshole if you put a guy on the bench after the season leading into champs and said, by the way, you're not getting any of this prize money. That would be grade A asshole move.
That would have been Neon level partnership type move.
Yeah, that would have been bad. Hex does what Hex does best and say something he shouldn't have had on his podcast, and quite possibly has leaked that COD League is planning on 2 to 3 LAN events next year, with the remaining being online. So most likely early on in the year, I would assume you'd see some online games, just given the fact that we're still a little shaky on the COVID here in the States. And then the LAN events would be towards the end. I think obviously wanting champs to be online and things like that. Of course, Hex said this on his podcast in passing, so not officially confirmed, but I would like to assume a team CEO probably has some insider information that he can
and Octane was kind of like nodding along with him while he was talking, you know. So I watched a little clip of it. I didn't hear it, so I actually like saw their reactions. And Octane was kind of like nodding along as Hex was talking. So not confirmed, but if that's the case, man, they better get that next game ready. Like, that game better be ready for online play. Have servers up in multiple locations. Like, look, Hex was maybe giving you a warning. Okay, I don't feel like somebody at his level unintentionally leaks stuff. So if he's throwing it out there and he's saying this is going to be online, get your shit together.
Get it right.
don't F it up this time around. Like, this year sucked for that reason.
Yep. In Battle Royale news, Abuga, World Cup winner in Fortnite, launched his new clothing line, and his hoodie, right out the gate, costs $120.
Of course. It's an esports hoodie, Tim. Makes
Like-
you better at gaming. It's a performance gaming hoodie.
I mean, I know Booga won the World Cup, but I didn't win the World Cup. I can't afford. Like, who's he? Like, bro, your average fan base is like 12. They can't afford a $120 hoodie. Booga, look, we know guys that can design you top quality and could at least justify a $120 hoodie. Like, hit us up. I'll get you with Alt. They can make your...
Doesn't Alt work with this organization?
That I don't know. But they could definitely have connections to it.
I mean, something.
Like,
Yeah.
that could easily happen. So let us know, Booga, and we can get you the hookup. They also didn't look good.
I want to blame his graphics designer, or maybe Booga did it himself, and that's not something that he's
definitely
like
looks
really good
like,
at.
Like, how old is Booga at this point? 17? Looks like a 17-year-old designed a hoodie.
Yeah, design the hoodie and design like just the pictures of the items weren't great, because I did go and look at all the items that he was selling, and I was like, this is not the best way to show them off. Like, we could have used a nice little ring light over it or something to highlight them, but wasn't impressed with any of the custom drops there, so it's unfortunate.
But don't blame Fortnite, because as much as I hate Fortnite, they definitely know how to market themselves to make me want to download the game again. And that's as they team up with the Avengers and have, for pickaxes, Hulk fists and Hulk Buster fists. And that's like with a partnership with the Avenger game coming out on the PS4 and Xbox One. No partnership with the PC side, though. So I don't know what the deal with that is. But almost had me caring about Fortnite again. Almost.
You know, this is one of the cool things that that makes me jealous that they do so well, right? Is like some of the partnerships that they've built and done, especially with the Avengers. We've seen it like numerous times, but there's been others throughout. They do a really good job of being mainstream, and capturing people's attention that way. So that's cool. I think stuff like that's really cool.
Yep. In Valorant, was it Marved?
Yeah, Marv joins FaZe Clan. He's tier 2 CS. He was playing for Blood, Sweat, Tears, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have it up in front of me. I think he was playing for them. He's playing for a couple of other teams. Again, the only reason I threw that note or that piece on there as a note was this is the talent that we're talking about that's leaving the CS scene, right? Like, this is the tier 2 talent. And so when you do see teams make roster changes, that pool is getting a lot smaller to choose from. But Marv joining FaZe Clan, that he joins Corey, he joins Zachary, so they're starting to put together a roster there. Last week I mentioned that I thought Jason R was on the roster. He was like playing with them initially, but he is not
officially on the roster. Just one of those tryout tournaments.
I don't even think it's like happening at all anymore, but
Okay.
he was like trying out there, playing with them for a little bit there.
Verizon, we kind of teased it earlier in the show, but Verizon is a new sponsor with FaZe, and they plan on hosting their first esports tournament with TSM being the first invite. Of course, TSM being arguably the best team in Valorant at the moment. So
probably see the usual suspects here: TSM,
T1, everyone else,
now,
Cloud9
Complexity
now,
and all these guys. Cloud9, there'll be plenty.
which is fine, right? I mean, it's not what we want. It's not LAN events. It's not your major tournaments or anything like that. But you're at least seeing the big orgs being involved. So it's,
they're not streamer events anymore, right? Like early on, these events felt like streamer events, and that's why you didn't hear us talk about it a lot. Like, it just wasn't interesting to us. I don't care. As much as I love Summit, I don't care if he's playing in a Valorant tournament. I don't care that Tim Tatman is playing in a Valorant tournament. Like, I'm not excited to watch them in competitive gaming. Streamers, yes. Competitive gamers, not so much.
Right.
So now we're seeing all these teams. We're seeing rosters. We can get familiarized with the names, the play styles, who they like to play. So now these are actually becoming more meaningful and enjoyable to watch.
Yep. They announced a new agent, Killjoy. So you could check her out. It is a girl. They showed that. So Riot, following League of Legends path and Blizzard's path, just adding more and more female characters in there to to supply their secret underground black market Rule 34 hentai profiting ring, to really support their games. That's my suspicion.
We'll also talk about this agent in a lot more detail, because there's a lot of things that I think there are to discuss here, along with like some of the game mechanics as a whole. So
I think they'll release
we'll
it
get
in
into
like
this
the
soon
next
enough.
2 weeks or so. So we'll.
Yeah.
I always like playing with them before I start talking about them. Right, get a better idea for it. Daigo in Street Fighter, FGC news, turned 39 years of age and continues to win tournaments. This has got to be like one of the oldest guys in esports.
Tim, I sat in the same chair as him.
You're sitting in the same chair as him.
Sitting in it. He sat in it. Yeah.
He sat in your chair.
It's quite special. And it's nice that he's older than me. It makes me feel a little better.
It does make, as long as he's always playing, I'm like, I got a chance.
There's a chance.
I have a chance.
This dude's still winning tournaments from time to time, you know? So
if I wanted to, I could go pro.
Don't tell me reflexes are that terrible at that age, because that is a lot of like quick, fast-paced movements for
Street
for
Fighter.
the way they play with the gaming sticks.
I would love to get like an actual doctor on the show. I feel like that's a lot of BS. When people are like,
you're talking about reflexes,
yes, like
you just have less time to play, so you think you naturally get worse.
Right. Like
you know?
I always hear people are like, oh yeah, my reaction time was so much better. Yeah, my reaction time was better when I played 12 hours and I knew where you were going to be before you were there. Like me playing 12 minutes a week doesn't really help that muscle reaction.
When I'm playing one Valorant game every like 3 months right now, and you and me are still top fragging, imagine what we would do if we were putting in 12 hours a day.
Yeah, so I don't think it's so much reaction. I think that's a crutch people like to say in gaming and esports. Happy birthday, StarCraft 2, as you turned 10 years old the other day. I can't believe that it's only been 10 years, but at the same time, I can't believe it's only been 10 years. Like that, it seems like it's been out forever.
You know, like this is one of those things where people don't realize how instrumental StarCraft 2 was to like the esports community as a whole, right? It really helped Twitch take off. They were like one of the first like mainstream esports, right? Like especially in Korea, like they were massive. And it was really one of the catalysts to everything that we're seeing now in esports. It's unfortunate that Blizzard sits on these IPs, man. Like they really have gold there, and they refuse to capitalize on it and focus on other games that just haven't panned out the way that they've wanted to. But StarCraft turning 10, man, that's crazy. Like
and I know for the diehards still love it, you know. Me, I was a huge Brood War guy. I was actually in a StarCraft Brood War clan, where
of course you were.
Yeah, you know me. And
your brother probably got you in.
Always competed and things like that, and I never really, by the time like StarCraft 2 came out, I was 20, so my RTS days were, my reaction time really dropped, and you know, I turned my page to the FPS world by then. So StarCraft was a much earlier time in life, but nonetheless still holds a special spot. So happy birthday, StarCraft 2. Ferrari announced that they are planning on creating an esports series for sim racing. So still, Corona, you know, if anything, showed that the e-racing, sim racing world is definitely profitable, and that group of people actually really do enjoy it. Like the fan is like a 1-for-1, you know, like fans of racing also love sim racing.
I would love to have a full setup one day in my house. Like that would be so much fun to have, like the proper, like crazy,
after,
you know?
like your kid's 18 and you get a divorce and you don't have to pay alimony anymore, then
no, for sure, that would be the best time.
Definitely. And Envy announced they're partnering with Belong Gaming and plans to open up large-scale gaming centers in the DFW area. That's particularly big news for you and I, as we do live in the DFW area. So these aren't going to be 1,000 arenas. Like, they're not opening up multiple arenas. They're your standard 100-computer LAN center with, I think they said, like a little viewing party and things like that. They were still planning on opening up a big actual,
arena for
1,000 seats arena for their teams and everything like that. That's just, I assume that's been, like everything, put on hold for now. So, but yeah, that's awesome to see. Obviously, anything like that, it just goes to show, like, Dallas, Fort Worth has been just a catalyst when it comes to the esports side since the beginning. Like, it's always been a hotbed for esports. Some call it the birth of esports. And it just goes to show, like, even to this day, it's the focus.
I wish
is
I was
still
like
there.
20 years younger getting into all of this stuff right now.
Yeah,
This would be really cool when I was of that age,
At the same time, we were at the best time of esports because it was truly like the purest form, in the sense of it was just, you were going to a LAN party to compete, right? You were going to Circuit City, you were going to, whatever, CompUSA,
yeah.
You were going to your neighborhood LAN party and putting in $20 in the pot to play 1v1 Halo tournaments. But at the same time, the opportunity that you have to be taken serious is just, it just wasn't there for us, right? It's just nuts what kids have nowadays at reach to do that. So good stuff. So hopefully we'll obviously keep an eye out for that. Maybe have someone on Envy or from Envy on the show. Talk a little bit about more. Well, what a show. A lot of hot
Thank
topics.
you, Riot, for killing the second segment of the show there.
I would like to think of that as a what if segment, right? What if Riot didn't cancel their sponsorship? What if they still worked with Neom? That's how we would have reacted. But nonetheless, good to see change happen live on the show. And that's how recording works, right? We got to record at some point in time. We can't stop that breaking news happens live while doing the show. Be thankful that I actually looked at Twitter once while doing the show, because if not, we would have found out like an hour after it happened, and
We would have found out
mentioned
about 5 minutes from now, and then
Yeah.
been like, "Oh, damn, are you kidding
normally
me?"
I don't have Twitter open while doing the show, so thank you, me, for looking at Twitter. Speaking of Twitter, follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring, and get all the latest scoops, all the per source news and everything there. Get notified when we go live and all that fun stuff. That's it. We'll be back Sunday. Big episode on Sunday. We are ranking the tier lists of esports. So if you want an esport in the tier list, hit us up on Twitter and we'll put it on there and let you know. But for Anuj, I'm Tim. We'll see ya.